Marianne Johanson is a writer from New York City, now living in London, who thinks way too much about such inconsequences as movies, books, and the meaning of life. She is primarily a film critic. She founded flickphilosopher.com in September 1997, but is starting to dabble in genre fiction. Marianne, over to you.
Hi, everybody. So I am reading a story from Cultural Artifacts, which is a collection of flash fiction, which are very, very short stories. This one is called A Parable of Beauty, Vanity, Greed, and Witchery. Once upon a time, there was a young woman whose exceptional beauty was exceeded only by her great vanity and insatiable greed. When she wasn't spending long hours admiring herself in the mirror in her boudoir, she would don a veil and walk among the citizenry or sit in the finest public house on the poshest street, and she would charge the townspeople or the tavern-goers 20 silver pennies each to gaze privately upon her face. Sometimes a stranger would scoff at how many clients she drew. "Every town has a woman who is most beautiful," the doubter would say. "Why should I pay to look upon this one when beauty, while rare, may be seen anywhere?" And then occasionally, one of the women's generous patrons would pay for a dismissive stranger to behold her visage, and the stranger would gasp and come to appreciate just how extraordinary her beauty was. And so word of her surpassing splendor would spread even further. This was how her greed and vanity grew as well. One day, a very ugly, very old, very wise witch came to town. She had not previously heard of the woman who was so beautiful that others would pay to behold her, and so she became the latest to scoff. But this time, the young woman, recognizing the witch's power, suggested a trade. "Old witch," the young woman said, "I will trade you a glimpse behind my veil if in return you will tell me the secret of preserving my beauty for all time." For the young woman knew that she would not remain young forever. Only just that morning, in fact, she had plucked the very first gray hair from her temple. And so now she was terrified of what would become of her once she could no longer pass a day delighting in her visage, and in the tinkle of the coins of those who paid to do so. The witch considered the young woman and her offer. "Is this truly what you desire?" the witch asked. "For the essence of beauty is in its ephemeral nature. Beauty is in the buds of spring giving way to the green blooms of summer, and then the gold foliage of autumn." The young woman laughed, and not kindly. "Do you mean to tell me, old witch, that you were once beautiful like me?" The old witch smiled, as if she held a secret behind it. "I was never beautiful like you, though I had other charms, and still do. I merely wish to ascertain that to freeze your beauty forever is what you genuinely wish." "It is," the young woman said. "Very well, then," the old witch said. And so in the privacy of the tavern snug in which the young woman was ensconced, she lifted her veil so that the old witch might behold her face. The old witch gasped, and as so many others had before. Exquisite skin like the morning's first cream, eyes of a blue that would make the sky jealous, cheekbones like the swell of the sea, hair of richest honey. The old witch forgot herself for a moment, contemplating a comeliness that seemed somehow beyond human, something divine, perhaps even something that did indeed deserve to survive long beyond its natural life. Then the old witch returned to her senses and saw once more merely a vain youngster before her. But the old witch also gleaned from her own unexpected reaction to the other woman's loveliness how she might grant the promised boon. "Truly you are lovely," the old witch said. "I shall return tomorrow with a potion that will ensure that your beauty endures for all time." The old witch did as she promised. She always did as she promised, and returned to the tavern the next day to deliver the potion to the beautiful young woman. "Drink this before you sleep tonight," the old witch instructed the young woman, "and 3 days hence you shall begin to see your beauty being preserved for eternity." The young woman did not thank the old witch, merely accepted the potion and dismissed her. The old witch went on her way, unperturbed, and thought not on the young woman ever again. On the third morning after the young woman drank the potion, she awoke to discover that her left leg had turned to porcelain. This delighted her. She had often been told by captivated admirers that her skin was like the finest china, and now it was so. But her leg was even more gorgeous than that. It was painted with a delicate pattern of birds and flowers and curlicues, all in warm, sweet colors. Her leg was newly magnificent in a way that the young woman never could have anticipated, never could have ever imagined to ask the old witch for. She was quite satisfied. On her porcelain leg, she hobbled down the most exclusive avenues of the town, as was her daily wont, to that superior tavern. Only today, in addition to accepting coin for the viewing of her face, she also accepted coin for the viewing of her leg. Oh, only to the knee. She was a properly brought up young woman. As always, her customers were astonished with the beauty of her face, but on this day they went away raving also about her stunning and surprising new leg. The young woman knew that on the next day she would have devotees queuing out the tavern door and down the street. But the next day she woke to discover that her right leg had also turned to porcelain and was covered with a design that was different from, yet a pleasing accompaniment to, that of her left leg. She could no longer walk, and so made herself comfortable in her bed, which was not at all difficult, as her bed was plush and luxurious, made up with the softest linens and the plumpest pillows. She sent her maid away to alert the tavern owner that she would be receiving visitors in her boudoir. And she had twice as many visitors as usual. They did indeed queue into the street, and all departed in awe, and spread new word that her beauty had moved into a realm that was now beyond striking, and was, truly, unlike anything that the townspeople had ever laid eyes on before. On the next day, she woke to find that there was a profound pain where her porcelain legs met the flesh of her torso, and she sent her maid away for the town doctor. The doctor was one of the region's richest men, due to his great skill in healing, and hence also one of the young woman's greatest and most frequent admirers. Now he made a tisk-tisking noise with immense sadness. "My dear," the doctor said softly to the young woman, "I am afraid that your lovely new legs are festering." "Oh, no!" the young woman exclaimed. "Well," the doctor said, "not the legs themselves, not the porcelain, you see, but the flesh where the porcelain meets it. I'm afraid they must come off, my dear." "Oh, no!" the young woman exclaimed again. The doctor smiled, for he was heartbroken over the beautiful young woman's distress, and wished to placate her. "I have a proposal, though, my dear," he said. "If you agree, I shall purchase the legs from you," and he named a princely sum. "Oh, my," the young woman said, for it was indeed a princely sum. But she worried that no one would again have the opportunity to gaze upon her handsome china legs. "But will you keep them hidden away?" she asked the doctor. The doctor had indeed thought to keep them hidden away for his own pleasure alone, but now he had a new thought. "Of course not, my dear," he said. "I shall display them in my surgery and ask all onlookers for a donation to gaze upon them, and I will share, shall we say, a quarter of the takings with you." "Oh, yes," the young woman agreed immediately. And so the doctor removed her lovely porcelain legs and did exactly as he said he would. He discounted his usual fee for amputation. And news of the young woman's beauty, and of the two distinct opportunities to gaze upon it, spread further still. And that's where I'm going to stop. This is the last story in the collection, so if you want to finish it and find out what happens to the young woman and her legs, you can check out the book. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, or for everybody who signs up for my mailing list through Strong Woman, Strange Worlds, I will give everybody a copy of the ebook. So thank you very much for listening.